We ended up signing a production deal with Daryl Simmons.
I brought them to Atlanta to work on getting a record deal. We were rehearsing, recording a little bit, so they were there for 2.5, 3 years. They worked hard. But nothing happened. The feedback that I was getting was, they look too sexy, they look too mature. This is during a time when it was baggy pants and hat to the back. So we kept pursuing and kept pursuing, and comes the Elektra situation. I meet with Elektra. I said, I got this group, and I think, you know, there's a girl in the group. I think she's definitely a star, and I'd like for you to sing. So we do the ultimate showcase. They signed the girls. Everybody's happy. Finally, everything is happening.
Beyonce was ecstatic.
It's like, wow, my dream is finally coming true, and all this hard work and sacrifice is about to pay off.
It wasn't long before things got weird. Elektra, they weren't feeling me.
The process was going somewhat slow.
We actually didn't even put together an album. That's how on the shelf we were.
I kind of really didn't know what I was doing.
Daryl did everything he could, but the timing wasn't right, and it just didn't work.
I was dropped from Elektra, and in turn, anything that was attached to me was also dropped.
Definitely a low point for Beyonce and the rest of the girls. Here you have some kids that have been trying since age 9, and when you think you have it, and then you're thrown that curve again, it's like, it's very disappointing. When they got dropped from Elektra, I remember how heartbreaking it was for Beyonce to have to come back to Houston.
It seems like every setback that the group experienced, it affected their family in some type of way.
He and Tina both put everything they had into Girl Time: money, time, their house.
You know, it's admirable when parents believe enough in their children's dreams, be willing to step out there. But nothing worth anything comes without a cost.
The only way that I could really be successful at this was really dedicate all of Matthew to it, and that meant leaving corporate America.
It was a huge adjustment because you're going from making this huge income, and now you've quit your job.
Matthew still had that mentality that he was making 6 figures, and he was spending $5,000 on packages and photo shoots and Kinko bills, and I was like, you know, things have changed now.
Tina had to take care of everything, so she worked and she ran her salon, and the family survived off of what Tina was making.
We had a lot of turmoil about that.
Our marriage really suffered then.
We had to sell our house. We started selling the cars.
At that point, my mother and father had separated.
I just took the girls one day and moved them into an apartment.
We went from living in a 6-bedroom house with this beautiful living space, and we had to move into a 2-bedroom apartment.
And there were a lot of us that were kind of sitting and watching on the sidelines thinking, you know, maybe, you know, he really ought to go back and do something else. And he just kept moving forward.
Matthew doesn't acknowledge failure, so he doesn't let anyone around him do that either. So he got the girls right up and going again.
My first call, obviously, was back to Columbia.
Matthew called me and said, "Are you still interested?" And I was like, "Absolutely, are you kidding?" The girls were flown out to showcase for all of the department heads.
I remember being very nervous, and the rest of the girls being nervous, and Beyonce was just so strong. She was just like, we're going to go and we're going to nail this.
She was determined, so it was like, okay, we have something to prove now.
Once Columbia actually got a chance to see them perform in a room with all the big cats and the small cats in this area, right on point. They blew them away.
Columbia signs us, and we all cried, and we couldn't believe it.
They were like, we got a deal, we got a deal, we got it, we got. I mean, they were ecstatic.
My mother and father got back together. We moved into another house.
And that was like, oh God, it was such a blessing.
When we signed at Columbia, we were searching for names.
And I came across the Bible and just opened it up, and I saw Destiny.
And I came up with Child, Destiny's Child. We started working on the album.
There were young, focused, like grown-ups in the room, and it would trip you out. You get intimidated by these youngsters.
We just really, really wanted it this time, and we were willing to do, you know, whatever it took, hard work, we were there.
I knew they were hot, and I knew with or without me, they were going to be the I recognized this is going to be a super group.
They decided that No, No, No would be the first single, and I remember them going ahead and doing a remix for it before the album came out, and that's when they met Wyclef.
This is the remix. Radios play this remix.
As a producer, you always want to be part of what you think is going to be the next hottest thing.
They needed someone to help push them out there.
I knew I could cook up something for them because I felt like it was going to be some, you know, real big stuff.
They went into the studio one morning, and it took literally 57 minutes to record from start to finish. No, No, No Part 2.
I know you want me, I can see it in your eyes, but you keep on putting what you feel on your mind.
The first time Beyonce ever heard it on the radio, she was picking me up from school. And I remember her pulling up and yelling, Slide, come to the car. I'm like, that's us, oh my God, that's us. And I'm like, we're on the radio, we're on the radio. And we get in the car, we turn it up, we turn the windows down, and we just like, yeah. She's like, that's me, and I was like, that's you. Once that song hit, it was something different, it was something fresh, and it just blew up.
No, No, No ended up the #1 single, #1 airplay.
Matthew's vision was to hurry up and put something else out and ride off the wave of the single.
We got ready to make the second record for Destiny's Child, The Writings on the Wall.
At that point, Beyonce was really emerging as a songwriter. You know, you can't just sit on that. It was time for her, in particular, to get those juices going, start writing.
So she ended up writing quite a bit on the second album and producing.
She had slashes in her name now, you know. Singer, songwriter, producer, like, woo!
The first single for Writings on the Walls was Bills, Bills, Bills.
From that point, I could see the press returning my calls a little sooner, a little more enthusiasm. I'm calling about Destiny's Child as opposed to, I got that package on that group.
Business was beginning to really heat up.
These girls work their tails off.
What's up, what's up, what's up? We're Destiny's Child. We're Destiny's Child. We're Destiny's Child.
Destiny's Child? Destiny's Child. Could not perform enough.
Let me hear you say, why you praying when you know you really want it?
They could not do enough promotion.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm doing mighty fine.
I mean, they couldn't work hard enough.
Bills, Bills, Bills turns into a #1 song on the Billboard charts, and we're really selling records, and things are going great.
You become this public property to the world when you have a hit. You know, you got all these people. Who knows what can happen?